The Seattle Mariners get swept in Arlington. The AL West is looking a little tougher than it is, or is it just the Mariners being in a tough slump? Let's talk about it because it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Baseball stuff! Baseball stuff!
If I was to tell you at the beginning of the season in spring training, when all the things were happening with the expectations of the Mariners going to World Series, whatever the case may be, and then I said, you know what, though, on April 8th, on April 9th, whenever you're listening to this, you'll be fifth in the AL West. You'll be 4-9 with your record. Batting average towards the bottom, if not at the very bottom of the league. But you'll still tell me, don't worry about it because they'll figure it out. That's where it's starting to get really stressful for me. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Hold My Trident, a Seattle Mariners podcast. And I'll tell you what, I'm really trying hard to just tell myself it's only April. It's only April. Like, cue the Bart Simpson writing on the chalkboard over and over again. Principal Skinner, tell me, please, to continue to say that because it needs to happen. But getting swept in Arlington after losing a series to the Angels, and then knowing that the Houston Astros they are, of course, a little injury ridden themselves. We'll get to them in a second, but knowing they're right around the corner, it's hard not to be a little skeptical about all those World Series aspirations when you're sitting at the bottom of the AL West, Gavin.
Yes. Getting swept 3 games after what you've gone through with the Angels and the Yankees over the past week, not a fun place to be. Now, as fans, I think it's okay for us to say it's early, but as a collective, as a team, it seems like that's the vibe of what's going on, in the dugout, in the clubhouse. It's early. And maybe it's early. Maybe they're saying this and it's more they're putting pressure on themselves, like unwanted pressure. You don't have to, lock up all the single, all the time, and not everybody has to hit a home run every single time they're up at the plate. But you get the sense that they're also saying it's early and they need to kind of shift that focus into game planning and how do we kind of attack this. And I'll still, I'll shift a little of the blame on Dan Wilson for not shaking up the lineup. If you see your 3, 4, 5 hitters struggling, drop them down the lineup, help them out a little bit. Like, I know it sounds like a demotion. It sounds like, we don't want to, do that and hurt their feelings and make them feel bad. No, you drop them down the lineup. You bring up Cole Young, who's been doing well. You bring up some of these other guys. Brendan Donovan's honestly, been probably the most consistent and best hitter that we have right now. But what you do is you open the door to potentially see more fastballs and just to kind of set them up at the bottom of the lineup a little bit better. Now, is that for sure going to happen? Are they for sure going to get better? No, but you're trying to break a slump here. You're trying to do anything and everything to mess with the pitcher that's planning for this game. So I'd like to see a little bit of shaking up of the roster. I'd like to see a little bit of shaking up. And as much as I love Connor Joe, and I've heard nothing but great things of what he can bring and provide in that clubhouse, you need to attack the offensive production right now, because you can't get through the month of April and be sub 400. You just can't. You set yourself up not in the best way. And I get it. We still have months with an S of baseball to play after the month of April, but you gotta at least put band-aids on stuff and try and get at least to 500 and set yourself up for success down the road. So you're not trying to win 14, 15 games like we've had to in the past just to get into the postseason. So set yourself up for success early. Try and put a band-aid on some of these slumps right now. It's not looking good. It's not looking good right now, and things can definitely change, but we're just, flustered.
149 is the number right now. And no, that's not the batting average. The batting average is actually much worse when it comes to the team's batting average at the moment. 149 is how many games there's left in the season. So you're right. There's still a ton of time left on the year, but it's still frustrating because you're entering, you remember what happened in October last year. You remember the magic that happened. You remember that it was just, you were 3 innings away, everybody loves to say, from making it to the World Series. Your one bad pitch to George Springer from making that happen. And then now you're sitting at a spot where you're looking for anything. You got 2 hits in the game finale, the series finale against the Rangers. It was just it was dreadful. Cole Young continues to at least show that he's got something. I know that he didn't his hitting streak finally ended, but he got one in the series finale. Mitch Garver got one finally as well. You're still struggling from Rob Refsnyder whenever you're supposed to have him lead off as lefties. He's been dreadful. I don't think there's any way else to say it. I mean, other than him walking twice so far, I think he's 0 for 16 at the
He
plate.
did rob a home run today. That at that point in the game definitely saved a little bit. And overall, I still like Rob Refsnyder. We put a little bit of money into it, but right now he's on the AJ Pollock train.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. That's a really good comparison. And that's exactly where, like, how long is his leash? When you have people in the minor leagues that are itching to get up here, and Patrick Wisdoms and Colt Embersons, and, there's a couple other names that you can talk about as well. And then you have somebody who is filling that spot and is supposed to be doing a successful thing in one position and one position only, smashing against lefties and being a table setter at the same time, leading off, and it's not working for Dan Wilson's squad. Here's my thought process, and here's my biggest question to you as we sit here only 13 games into the season. Again, I want to continue to stress that, and that's more for my personal psyche than anybody else listening right now. What are you more concerned about? Because I feel like there's now 2 things you got to be concerned about. None of it's pitching, for the record. George Kirby was great in the second game of the series. I even think Wu was okay, even though he had
Wu had a bad game, and he only gave up 1 earned run through 5 innings.
Yeah, and I don't even think he was terrible. There were some issues in the 5th inning, but this is where my second concern comes in. The batting obviously is one major concern. The meat of the order, things like that. The offense production, that's one. But in the series finale, in that 5th inning where Wu allowed 3 runs, and then in the second game of the series with Kirby, when they let their runs, there's a conversation where none of that happens if there's not for fielding errors. Brendan Donovan had a fielding error in that inning that allowed George Kirby right after that to allow a 2-run home run. I get it. Kirby's the one that threw that pitch, but obviously could be a solo shot instead of a 2-run bomb. And then you're going to extra innings in that game. If Luke Raley doesn't miss the bag in the 9th inning, you're going extra inning anyway, and then you might even actually win the game. There's a whole bunch of you can make scenarios in your head for that one. And then in the series finale in that 5th inning, Connor Joe completely misses Mitch Garver at the plate. If he gets that out and that force at home with the bases loaded, you now have 2 outs, no score, and then you hope that Wu can finish them off, and then you go for leaving that inning instead of allowing 3 to allowing 0, maybe 1 at the very most. So what's the biggest concern? Is it the batting or is it the fielding?
Neither. You know what my biggest concern is the lack of preparedness in the offseason to get to where we're at right now.
Okay.
What I would like to have said was, we have some guys that are injured that are on the IL stints. No, we don't really have a ton of guys that are on the IL stint. Knock on wood, send your blessings, get your prayers, whatever you want to, whoever you pray to. We're
the Vargas's news is terrible, though.
The Vargas news is terrible.
60-day, that's terrible.
It is terrible. But as far as the infield goes, we didn't prepare for this season. We asked Brendan Donovan to kind of semi-play out of position, playing third base. We've seen a little bit of not the greatest. It's definitely better than Jorge Polanco, which we saw a year ago. Luis Rivas, we've tried him out at third base. That didn't go over the greatest. Now we're asking Connor Joe to come up, and he didn't have he had a clutch situation that went the wrong way for him. And Josh Naylor, I think I don't think if I'm looking, I think I saw his DRS earlier today, and it wasn't the greatest. You look at the routes that I should say with Randy Arozarena in the outfield. This team is just it's a little bit depleted defensively, and it would have been nice to have picked up a solidified third baseman, somebody that's you're comfortable with giving the rock. A guy like, I don't know, Eugenio Suarez would have been a great pickup. I understand his numbers in Seattle weren't great, and you probably would have had to overpay, but he's on a 1-year deal for 15 to 18 million, something like that. Would have been worth it, in my opinion, because now we're scrambling. Now we're trying to figure out what we can do. Is it the right time to call Cole Emerson up? In my opinion, the guy's done everything he can. I'm seeing highlights every single night staring me in the face saying, "Oh, call me up, call me up, call me up." So that's staring you right in the face, and it's a tough question to ask because you should have prepared for this in the offseason. That's really what it should have been. The offensive side, to get back to your question, the offensive side is probably what you should try to attack because the pitching has been so stellar that even with the errors you're seeing, 2 to 3 runs a game, you need the offense to pick it up. And so a guy like Patrick Wisdom, who just hit his 8th home run last night, mind you, 8th home run in, I think, 10 games. A guy like that has earned the right to come up to the bigs and go over 4 for a couple of games. That's actually Mitch Levy had said that, and those are some great words. I wanted to give him a shout out for that. I saw that earlier yesterday, and yeah, that sticks out to me. I even if he comes up and Mike Carps it, we're going to be okay. That's the guy you give the opportunity to. It sucks because I love Connor Joe, and this is by no means an anti Connor Joe scenario. This is just a pro Patrick Wisdom and everything that he's done at the plate.
Yeah, and I think you have to make that kind of shift. And like the question is like, when do you do it? Do you wait till after this Astro series? You're heading into an off day. That when you're listening to this show, we're talking on an off day. The series starts on Friday, but it goes all the way through Monday. It's a 4-game series, and these, even though it's April, look, these games are important. All the games matter the same. All 162 matter the same. I'm a strong believer of that. I don't think games in September mean more than games in April when you look at it at paper, but especially ALS games. And you're playing a ton of ALS opponents right now. You just lost the series against the Angels. That can come back to bite you. You just got swept by the Rangers. Who knows how they finished their year, because they've been so up and down ever since COVID, ever since them winning the World Series. And then even though the Astros haven't had the best start, we all know what happens when the Astros, do what they do. They've been doing it for way too long right now. And even when they were at the bottom of the standings for the longest time, they still found a way 2 years ago to still come back and win the damn division. So there's a lot of things to be concerned about, I think, when you're looking at the AL West. I think you have to make some kind of poll. Do you wait before we dive into the series? Do you think there should be at least one roster move involving, let me just say, we'll put 2 names, Patrick Wisdom or Cole Emerson, before we hit our first pitch on Friday night?
Yeah, since it's coming back home, you want to, with a prospect like Colt Emerson, and we just saw this with Connor Griffin, right? And if you're not familiar with Connor Griffin, he's kind of the next coming of Mike Trout, as everybody's claiming. He's on my fantasy team, so I'm actually really glad that I have him. So I'll also jump on the Mike Trout fan train.
Right.
They called him up. They, made sure that the family was all aware. Hey, he's getting called up on a Friday. Family's in town, and it's going to be at home in Pittsburgh. I would imagine that if you're going to do something for Cole Emerson for a call up, it's going to be something similar to where you can kind of control the situation, have it at home, be in front of the home crowd, try and give him the red carpet as best as you can. So something like that on Friday, yeah, pay attention. If you're not following, Jeff Passan and have his alerts on, or following MLB trade rumors with the alerts on, I would do that tomorrow. If you're a Mariners fan looking for news and looking for that, tomorrow would be a good day because you just never know. We're coming back home playing the Astros. It's going to be I would hope, a good series. Even if we lose all 3, it's a 3-2, 2-1 type of game series. Pay attention. There could be a Cole Emerson calling. There could be, Patrick Wisdom calling or something. But yeah, I would say pay attention to your phone tomorrow. You could see something fun.
Going into this Astro series, 4-game series, we'll see what the actual pitching looks like for Houston, because that's one thing that they are dealing with. And you're not going to get a full rotation of the Houston Astros, no matter which way you look at it, heading into this one. You wouldn't have saw Kristen Javier in this one because he was just pitched in the game on on Wednesday, but he left in the first inning. So he wouldn't have been set to actually face the Mariners in this one, but obviously they're going to have to make some moves because it looks like he's going to make an IL stint, and Hunter Brown is already dealing with an IL stint as well. So the Astros are dealing with 2 rotation pieces already down, and that's a huge blow to it for sure. If you're looking at the starting pitchers as we speak right now, Ime is going to be for Houston against Hancock on Friday night. Saturday, it's set for McCullers versus Castillo. Sunday, it's TBD against Logan Gilbert. And, of course, TBD on Monday as well for the Astro against George Kirby. So there's 2 pitchers yet to be determined. Maybe they make some pull-ups. Maybe they go for a bullpen game. Who knows? But Astro sitting 6-7, Mariners 4-9. You can't
What
even afford to split this series. I think you got to get at least 3 from Houston here.
I mean, what a series to kind of make that statement and turn this season around in the right direction. Again, it's early; we're less than 20 games in, but this could be
The
the
perfect
turning.
opponent to turn it around with.
You're back at home. You're playing the Astros. Everything's set up for this to be a beautiful series for you guys to heading off in the right direction. You know, you're coming back home to our fans. I know our fans are probably a little bit down, and hopefully we can get a good crowd. But we've had some good weather up in the Northwest lately, so hopefully that just keeps the positive vibes going. And hey, like this is the series that we can kind of turn things around on. That's the other thing is you got to take advantage of some of these pitchers being out. This is the time that you got to lock in and you got to put up five. Just give me 5 runs for 3 straight games. If you give me 5 runs for 3 straight games, I think we take at least 2 out of 3. This pitching staff, knock on wood, has been absolutely killer. We've been having great performances. Everybody that's been being given the opportunity has kind of showed out. Cooper Criswell didn't have the greatest first outing, and then came back and had like 2 or 3 more good outings behind it. Hoppy came up, and was it Hoppy? No, it was Cole
Wilcox.
Wilcox. Sorry. Cole Wilcox came up, and he's been money ever since he's been up. So yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of great outings from all these guys. You got to support these guys. I'm sorry, I'm tired of seeing our starting pitchers go out there and for lack of a better term, letting their nuts hang and not being picked up by the hitters. So this is the series you got to turn it around on.
You have to turn around. Offense has to step up because I think even with the elite pitching that you've had, Houston's been very good offensively so far. Yordan Alvarez already has 4 home runs on the season. Christian Walker is having a great start to the season. 50 at-bats, already has 17 hits, 3 homers, 13 RBIs, only struck out 7 times, and that's not unlikely for Christian Walker. He's batting 340 right now with a 640 slug. He's doing really good. Jose Altuve is doing great, batting. He's getting on base about a third of the time right now. Cam Smith looks good. Correa. There's a lot of those bats that are doing a lot better than almost anybody for the Mariners, with the exception of maybe Brendan Donovan. I think is the only one that's probably excelling when it comes to getting on base compared to some of these other ones. But there's multiple players in Houston's lineup that are doing that. I think you can get the starting rotation to slow them down. Hopefully the bullpen, when they come in, can induce ground balls, but that's of course a big concern if the defense behind you is not doing their job. I'm looking at Ferrier here and how he comes in and induces ground balls, but you're a big offseason pickup. But if you don't have the shortstops and the third bases behind them getting that defensive play, that's cute, very concerning. But you're right, this is exactly what needs to be done. The offense needs to step up, and what a turnaround I feel like it'd be for the fans, for us, everybody, if you could win this series. Hell, if you could sweep against the Astros, people would forget about this start very, very fast.
Yes, that's what you need. You need 2 out of 3 would be great. I think we would all.
It's 4-game series.
Sorry, 4 game sets. So if three out of 4 would be a great push in the right direction. But if you can find a 4-game sweep with them being down Hunter Brown, who's arguably their best pitcher, and then a couple other guys, and I know like Brian Abreu, who's one of their better arms out of the pen, has been he's also on my fantasy team. So I can tell you as a fantasy owner, he's been doing this since the beginning of the year. He's had one really good game and then one really bad game. So yeah, it'd be really nice if we could touch these guys up and show some offensive production. It'd be really cool to see just a little bit of change of scenery for guys like Naylor, guys like Julio. Let me just pull up what they're doing right now, just so you have an understanding. I think everybody kind of knows, but definitively going into yesterday's game, Cal Raleigh batting 156, Josh Naylor batting 104. Full slash line for Raleigh, 156, 255, 267. Abysmal. Naylor, 104, 173, 104. And then our big guy, Julio, 152, 250, 152. Ugh. This would be the series where everybody gets above the Mendoza line. Hopefully. I would love to see 5+ hits from all 3 guys.
Oh, please let that happen. Inject that into my veins if it does. So when we come back and talk, hopefully we're talking in a much better mood. The plan, we're going to still have live streams. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out. I think we have one coming out on Thursday night. We're going to make sure at the very minimum that at the end of every series, heading into a new one, we will have a podcast, but there will be some in between as well. But if you're looking for consistency, just know you will always have one at the end of every series, getting ready for the next one. And of course, there'll be much more over the incoming times in between. All that stuff right here on Hold My Tridents podcast, powered by Up West Sports. Please like the video. Please subscribe while you're there as well. And if you're listening on audio, I thank you. We'll see you back here next time right here on Hold My Trident.